Am I making any sense so far? Okay. It'd be terrible to get to this point and discover I'd lost you all. So the social network analysis itself is important, but it's static. It can only take you so far. So let's put some flesh on those bones. We want to reanimate, so we add agents. So I take those links, I put them into a model, I give one of them an idea, and I set them loose. Have you heard the news? That's the only dynamic that the agents are doing. But they're doing it on top of this network suggested by the itineraries. It's a very simple model of an extremely complex phenomenon. The model code. I mentioned that NetLogo code is near English. It's pretty straightforward. This is it. This will give you a publication. In the model, the agent looks around his local neighborhood. Hey, have you heard the news? You haven't heard the news. Well, let me tell you the news. Okay? Ottawa Senators rock. Okay? And that keeps going. Is there anybody else here? No? Okay, well, I'll just keep on moving. Has everybody heard it now? Yes? Okay, model's done. The model prints all of that information out in a spreadsheet. At time 1, 1 person heard the news. At time 100, 2 people heard the news. It makes for an enormous spreadsheet, but this is information that you can work with. Incidentally, as an aside, and on this week when the Copenhagen climate stuff is all going on, a model is a rhetoric in code. Okay? When you write a model, you are encoding a particular worldview. So you have to be able to interrogate the model's code. You have to go, it's not enough to read the publication that comes out of it. You want to also go and look at the code, because there can be things in it, and that's why you'll never see climate models. You never see the code for climate models. It's like conspiracy theorists again. But no, seriously, if this is a very simple model, but every model, you know when something's really important and you want to get it across and it's just not happening for you? That's what's happening here. So just keep in mind that anytime you read about the results of an agent model, can you view the code for yourself? If you can't, take it with a pinch of salt. I would love if somebody would come to my website, look at my model code and say, Sean, you are absolutely out to lunch. Because then it means that somebody's engaging with it and we can make it better. Of course, if you send me that email tomorrow, I won't be much pleased. So that's basically the model. And if I can make this cursor thing work, it would be fun to watch it run. Hello? Oh, there it is. So this is what the model looks like. And first you set it up. The red lines are the network of the Antonine itineraries overlaid on the geographic space. They are wide, they have width. That's my attempt at dealing with the local knowledge. Okay? It's entirely possible for Bob to go from one town to the next town and never meet Alice coming the other way, because Alice took the high road and Bob took the low road. And you press go. Well, this is running way fast. The little blue guys have the message, and the spotlight is on the original person. He doesn't really get around very much. He hangs around in the Midlands. But you can see there's blue people spreading everywhere. And it plots, it catches, it counts it all up. That's all that's going on in this model. It's very simple, straightforward. You can, if you want, mess with the number of agents. And you can fiddle with the importance of the news. Well, what is that? That's the king is dead. Of course, that's anachronistic for the period I'm talking about. The emperor is dead. Or, wow, have you heard the latest out of whatever the ancient equivalent would have been for TMZ? You know, so it's the frivolous versus the important. You can explore that dynamic if you wish. In the publication I didn't. I was looking at just the basics of the model run. And it starts getting pretty slow after a while. Some of these models, you just set the computer up and run and come back the next day and hope that something happened. Okay, let's go back. And when you count all that up and you've run it on the different regions, you get an interesting graph like this. And there's at least two things going on in this graph. There's the rate in which the message gets picked up, which is the general slope of it. And then there's the degree of penetration, these funny hiccups. You can see two of the regions have almost identical curves in terms of those hiccups, the penetration and the rate. And the other two are quite like that. And when I was exploring this and I was thinking, okay, wow, does this mean anything? It does in fact seem to make sense when you look at something like the language used on tombstones, the epigraphic habit, or the tombstones of people trying to present themselves as being fully Roman. And you look at rates of these tombstones in the different provinces, and you see the similar patterns. I would never have known to look for those patterns if I hadn't have used the model. Does that make sense where I'm going with that? So I'm using it as a generator of ideas, and I'm using it as a mediator of ideas to zoom in more. I would hesitate to use this as a predictor and say run it on Egypt and look at the results and say, right, because of these results, I predict we'll see X, Y, Z in tombstone usage. But it helps you to start looking at something. So it's a very simple model. It took us a while to get to this point, but it's a network generated on historical data, reanimated with an agent model, and perhaps validated or confirmed by archaeological materials. I'm not actually going to talk about this slide at all. Changed my mind. Other than to say that networks do matter, and it's something that, if you're interested in agent modeling, you should also be taking a look at the networks underneath it. So I'd like to move on to a model that hasn't been published yet, a much more complex model, emboldened by my success with the itineraries and traveler sim. I thought I would tackle something similarly easy and ask, why doesn't society collapse? You know, you might as well go out on a limb, because that's where the fruit is, right? Go out there and see what happens. So this comes back to my work with the stamped bricks. I was finding network patterns in different periods that suggested there's something going on here. These patterns suggest that things should collapse if network theory is correct. Yet, clearly, Roman society did not collapse during these periods, the first 2-3 centuries AD. So, what is it about these networks, this structure, that makes it so robust? Give you a little taste of what I'm talking about. After Commodus dies, it's another round of civil wars. and you get the Severan dynasty arriving in town. And Septimus Severus, after he defeats the governor of Britain, Claudius Albinus, he exacts his revenge. He turned his full anger on Albinus' friends in Rome. The head of Albinus was sent to Rome with orders that it should be publicly displayed on a pole. He then bitterly attacked the friends of Albinus by producing some of their secret letters. Others he charged with sending gifts to Albinus. Each one was indicted for a crime. All who were prominent at that time in the Senate or who were richer and more noble in the provinces were destroyed ruthlessly.